just realised, is BMW still a German company? Isn't it nice to see one country in front of New Zealand in something? So we'll do a bit of question and answer, because I'm very keen to get the same speakers back up again. And they didn't get to talk for too long about everything that they wanted to do, except young Martin, of course, because we thought if we could get BMW here, we could all get selfies of ourselves in the car. Oh, I've got the other mic up the back, just in case someone wanted to jump onto it. I'll leave that one with you, Paul. Who's got a question? Young man. John Hanley. MC in room 1 tomorrow.
G'day guys, and thanks for the presentations. I'm particularly interested because Jones has taken a motorbike, the BMW self-righting one. I've seen the video, it's absolutely amazing. As an ex-motorbike rider, and I don't know anyone who's ridden a motorbike who hasn't come off one, but the bike stands there without a stand and you push it and it just brings itself right. Is it gyroscopes or is it magic?
Yeah, it's a bit of a combination of both. Of course you got gyros in there, and as I said, there's counterweights, and it's like when you first saw a Segway.
Yeah.
It stands up with the handle straight and it just balances itself out. And that's basically the same principle applied, just 90 degrees turn.
Thank you, amazing video.
It's good. Yeah, I mean, everybody else who hasn't seen it, just go on YouTube, BMW Vision 100 motorbike, and you'll see that.
Thanks.
Dr. Jones?
One quick question on the bikes. Would we be likely to see the evolution in Australia, the scooter?
We're actually bringing a few of the scooter type bikes in already. The evolution is not quite decided yet. I mean, we're coming up with business cases at the moment, but it's very likely.
There was some consternation before that you couldn't buy a car in Australia, or certainly in Tasmania. Are you taking orders at the moment at BMW?
Yeah, we have them on stock, can have them within a week or two. I mean, obviously the cars we have at the moment are the more expensive ones, the 7 Series, the 5s, the X5 and so on. However, that's where, with the plug-in hybrids especially, that's when you see the most gains in fuel reduction. Like a heavy car start-stop takes more fuel than a little 1 Series, which you can drive with 3.8 liters per 100 kilometers already. However, if you have an 8-9 liters per 100 kilometer car, which in Holden terms is very little anyway, however in BMW terms is a lot, and you reduce that by 2-3 liters per 100 Ks, that's when you see more efficiency gains, whereas you can't take 3 liters out of a 3.5 liter car. However, as I said, all the new models, even the smaller ones, will have electrified options on it.
Fantastic. And I noticed that we've put Martin in between Paul and Mr. Manson so they don't fight. Electricity and the like.
My question's for Martin. I'm intrigued with the issue of emissions standards. As you've probably noticed, we don't make cars in Australia anymore, as of last week or the week before. Is there any reason why, if the global standards are so much higher, how important is it still that Australia has better emission standards? Or is it just the fact that the manufacturers are making them overseas to those standards anyway?
I mean, of course, you see the European manufacturers are sort of leading when it comes to having the lowest sort of emissions per fleet in Australia already. But I guess it is important that every country really lowers their emissions or their targets over time. So that's the only thing that motivates us to make better cars, and that motivates you to buy less emission cars.
But if you're already making low emission cars for the other markets and importing them to Australia, why would you not have them at that same standard? Why would you make a dirtier car?
No, we don't have any dirtier car. It's exactly the same car that we make in Europe. It's more that some of the other manufacturers don't bring in their smaller cars, their electric cars and so on. I mean, 1 Series in Australia is exactly the same as in Germany, because the steering wheel's on the other side.
So it affects which models get brought in rather.
Yeah, it affects which models are being brought in, and of course what technology standard those companies are. If you look at again, Holden Ford V6, V8 engine, that's a 20-plus-year-old design. Can't be as efficient as some of our new engines, which have been refined year on year. Where it takes a lot of money, and you need to sell numbers, and that's what creates wrong again. Those guys.
Question for Rob. I think it was your was it a V1G situation, power back to the grid?
Yes, vehicle to grid.
Vehicle to grid. What's your strategy when I drive my car to work, top it up at work, and then take it home, pump it back into the grid?
Well, it's a great concept because thinking further on that, a lot of people, particularly you, Darren, Darren's from the RACT, people don't know where he's from, and he doesn't get one company car, he gets one a week, right? So he's got 50 cars, all provided for by his company. A lot of people have bundled salary packages with a vehicle. What I can envision is that people, in part of that package, will have an electric car or a hybrid car, and they will be encouraged to get to work at appropriate times during peak energy times and discharge their battery to help offset that peak load, saving the company money and helping the infrastructure of the grid. Then they can charge at work with all the solar panels that AEVA Energy has installed and charge their company-owned vehicle with the company-owned infrastructure via solar, and then take the car home and discharge it during their evening peak at home. And then using a tariff structure of off-peak energy, you can recharge your electric vehicle overnight when there is very low demand on the network, and you rinse and repeat that cycle. And I can see a lot of opportunities. Martin alluded to the fact, well, will you still be driving to work? And who knows what's going to happen with our... Well, it's going to be hard for you, Darren, because you still have to drive a car, because you test cars. But I see an opportunity for, this solar arbitrage. You can use your solar power at work and take it home with you. Vice versa, you can use it off-peak power at home. And this energy is all bundled into your salary package. So you're involving multiple parties now in becoming more energy efficient. I think it's some of the lowest hanging fruit in Australia that no one wants to focus on, unfortunately, is energy efficiency. We're all talking about infrastructure and solar and EVs. Well, EVs are a huge part because a third of our emissions are vehicles. But I can see a bundled approach, Darren, and I know I can fit 200 kilowatts of solar panels on your roof in Hobart.
Gotta love drone technology. I can see public servants arguing over their points on this one too.
Thank you, Vic. You've answered some of my questions already that I haven't asked. One question actually I had for Paul was you focused on the energy use of the household. How does the business and industry overlay that graph? Does it fill in some of those troughs and the peaks? And my second question was really about managing the charging during the day to actually utilise time at work.
Okay. The answer to that actually varies on a state-by-state basis because, like in Tasmania, our peak demand is driven by heating. In northern climes, it's driven by cooling. So I can only answer from a Tasmanian perspective. A couple of things. First of all, commercial load and residential load. Remember I showed those pictures of the transformers. What I was talking about was the transformers that feed neighbourhoods. And so from a neighbourhood perspective, like that transformer that I had a picture of, it feeds my block. I think there's one little corner store, but it's feeding houses only. Like the Woolworths and Kmart in Devonport here, they've actually got a transformer for each shop. So although, I'll talk about the overlay in a minute, but the important thing to realise is on the local level, and that's where I'm saying the problems are going to occur first, the transformers are generally feeding one type of load or the other, as dictated by zoning requirements that councils put in. At a much higher level scale, talking about the transmission level, like the big wires that I fell in love with, across the state there is a bit of filling in of the peaks and the troughs. Nothing much is really open overnight. What we see in Tasmania here is the peaks are on the cold Monday mornings in winter, where people are getting up, heating their houses, but businesses are heating after a weekend. So at a whole of electricity system level in Tasmania, it's a cold Monday morning. And in that case, it's the domestic load and the commercial load actually add together to create an even bigger peak. Now, fortunately, from the perspective of electric vehicles, people want their cars charged by Monday morning so they can get to work. So that's not really a problem I'm concerned about. The other thing I didn't address is, I was saying that the first problems will occur will be in that distribution level, the real local block by block level. Recall a few summers ago in Victoria and South Australia during heat waves, we had problems of actual electricity shortages because everybody wanted to run their aircon at the same time and there just wasn't enough generation to cope, or no, not enough available generation. Now, if however many 100,000 drivers of electric vehicles in Tasmania all plugged in simultaneously, it's not hard to do the maths. Say 100,000 drivers, or 200,000 drivers, 5 kilowatts each. That's actually as much as our average summer demand. We don't have enough generation to cope with that if everybody wants to charge at the same time. However, if we can solve the local problems first of getting that distributed, the recharging scattered during the night, it'll actually solve the bigger problems by default.
You hang on a little up there. We've got.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry.
Just had a very quick question that's quite specific to Tasmania, and I hope I'm not lighting a Molotov cocktail here. But Basslink, what's the go? It's apparently controversial.
Sorry?
Basslink is controversial, so we need another one, and there's support for another one. Okay, why the?
Okay, there was controversy over Basslink last year. Basslink is a privately owned link between Tasmania and Victoria. It allows Tasmania to sell electricity to Victoria at times when the spot price. Remember, I said that generators sell their power into a market, and that price actually varies on a 5-minute basis. So Basslink enables Tasmanian generators, Hydro Tasmania, to sell power to Victoria at times when the Victorian price is higher. Conversely, if the Victorian price is low, and yes, Victorian generation is predominantly coal, then the generation can flow the other way, so it's bi-directional. A few controversies we had late 2015, just before Christmas, the link failed. There was a fault, and it took 6 months to repair it. I won't go into all the details of all the politics that fell out of it, but basically lake levels were low. We're predominantly hydro generated here. Lake levels were low, so questions were asked, well, why did Hydro Tasmania allow the lakes to get that low in the first place? Should we have a second Basslink cable? Why didn't they build a second Basslink cable? A couple of years before, they were gold-plating the network. If we had proposed a second Basslink cable 2 years ago, it would have been accusations of wasting money. So that, in a nutshell, summarises any past controversy over Basslink, but I think it's fair to say that controversy is dead and buried now.
The Kiwis did it, actually. Did you have a question over there, young man? Might be a second. Come back to you.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts from AEVA New South Wales. I have 2 questions, actually.
Go.
Okay. First of all, I charge my car with off-peak power, but further than that, I charge it so that it finishes first thing in the morning, because my understanding is that the battery is more preserved if the charging occurs when it's cold. Okay, so this peak period being, at 10 o'clock, that's not really applying to me. Now, the other thing is, I know people that have controlled load power, so that's not in the future, that's now. So why are we still talking about this as though it's a problem? That's the first question. I'll give you the second question before you answer that. The second question is, understand that more electricity is used producing petrol per kilometre than is used by an electric car to drive the same kilometre. Now, we've been shutting down refineries for more than a decade now, I think, and I think we've got only a couple left. But has that entered into the calculations at all, the fact that we're using less electricity to produce petrol as electric cars come on?
Mr. Jelko?
Yeah, can you answer those questions again?
I'm sorry that I've forgotten the first question. So the second one was, are we using less electricity to produce petrol?
My understanding is that
I just wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not
we
in
use
that
more
game.
electricity to produce petrol than an electric car uses to drive
Yeah, what's your
distance.
Sorry,
There's no experts up there for that one.
I'll probably,
answer it.
I'll probably disagree with you. I'll probably disagree with you on that one.
Yeah? Can you two find it out later?
Yeah, I'll punch it on.
I think we should probably ask AGL what happened with energy demand and those kind of
Yeah,
things.
their answer's $1 a day. You're good.
The question was regarding Mark from New South Wales and Rob from Tasmania have successfully charged their electric vehicles using off-peak power. Why is it such a, at various times, why is it such a problem for everyone else?
Everyone else does it too. Hands up the number of people that use off-peak power to charge their car.
Keep your hands up though if it's off-peak power that where the power point actually loses power outside of certain times, or is it the same power point but it just runs at a cheaper rate?
Keep your
hands up if the power point that you charge your car from, once you're out of the off-peak time, it goes dead. Okay. Look, I think the answer is we in this room are the early adopters that are willing to try things that the average person out there, they want to do what's convenient for them. If there's a risk that I can't charge the car, then forget it, I'm not buying one in the first place. And so, like certainly from the network company's perspective, we're not even contemplating anything.
It's not how it works. If you've got an electric car, you try to charge it using your control load off peak, which goes dead outside certain times. That's controlled by the retailer or the supplier, whichever.
The network actually controls that. Yeah.
Right, that's the preferred option, but that's not the only option.
That is correct.
If someone who's using that system wants to charge their car outside of that time, they will.
But hang on. Okay, so right, hang on, I've got to backpedal here. You're talking about
95% of the time they do it that way.
Yeah, but you've got an EVSE that you plug into your power point. Is that right?
I can do it that way if I want. Yeah.
So you've basically got a little portable charger that you plug into your power point. If you need to charge your car at some other time in an emergency, you can go and put it into a different power point.
No, you've got one wired into the wall.
You've got one wired into the wall.
Which is control load.
Yes.
You've got another one you can plug in.
Just 240 volts. You'll still be able to charge your car.
No, nothing. Yeah.
So nothing's going to stop you charging your car. There's a choice to be made as to how much you pay for it. So there has to be tariff reform and give us more incentive and incentivise EV owners for when they do have their car plugged in and hopefully eventually get to a point where they will discharge back to the grid during peak times.
I mean, it doesn't seem like there's much of a problem as far as I can see.
Paul actually said what the problem was in his talk, which is that the controlled load tariffs where they switch the power points on and off are quite coarse. And if you've got 100,000 EVs that all get switched on simultaneously on the controlled tariff, you will overload.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the whole neighbourhood of like 20 houses in a row on one transformer are being switched on at the same time.
Yes, that's right. The control is incredibly coarse.
Thank you for being
Happy? Happy? Everyone happy?
Paul. I think I recently seen where Tasmania is going to get more smart chargers, smart meters. So all new connections will have a intelligent smart meter. And we have some around, but they have to have a card put in them.
Two quite different things.
Okay. So for this new future to happen, we have to have smart meters, yes, so that they can talk to the grid and
Yes, that's correct.
when, how, and who's pushing it.
Oh, okay, that's a Pandora's box. First thing is, as of a change to the National Electricity Law that takes effect, I think it's from 1st of December. Christian? Oh, yeah, I've got a few nods. Network companies will no longer be monopoly providers on meters. That's basically open slather. Anyone, Rob might decide he wants to get into the metering business. He knows how to wire things in. Rob's getting into the metering business. So first of all, it's in the past it's been the network company. In the future, it won't be. It's up to individual retailers on a state-by-state basis whether they actually insist that people have smart meters or not. I believe the approach that's going to be taken in Tasmania is, yes, if you want to change to a different tariff, and a lot of the new tariffs like the required time of use, so electricity gets cheaper after 10 p.m, you need to have one of the smart meters. Otherwise, the old meter with the moving coil, it doesn't know what time it is. So yes, we are going to be moving towards that.
Many of them have an electronic meter now.
Yes.
So my understanding was that all become smart,
Look, I don't know it to that level of detail, but I do know that an electronic meter is not necessarily a smart meter that can communicate back. I've got an electronic meter, but it's not smart, no. And that all varies on a state-by-state basis. Victoria's got a full rollout of smart meters. It was going to happen anyway, I believe. Tell me if you know that I'm wrong here, Rob, but Aurora has said any new meter will be a smart meter. So it's going to happen. Oh yeah, I see. Yes, you're right. However, consider a future where your retailer offers you a tariff where it's only 10 cents to charge your vehicle if it's allowed to be controlled between, say, 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. the following morning. That's so good that you can't say no to it. 10 cents versus 30 cents. You want that to power your car. You want that new tariff. In order to get that new tariff, yes, you take a smart meter.
Question down the back here. I believe the man's got the microphone. Thank you.
I'm going to be cheeky. I'm Mark Hemingston from the ACT branch on the shed. I'm going to have a question for Martin, being a bit cheeky. As a well, not quite an early adopter, but certainly an early exponent, I like to think that I've given most of the cars a try. I've certainly taken out an i3. I'm wondering if it's worth popping into the local dealership at Rolf there in Canberra and seeing about the rest of the range, including an i8.
Sure. I mean, ask Marty about it. He should, definitely be able to help you out. They don't always have an i8, but we can probably ship him one up with you.
Oh no, they have them there. Is it worth me just going in and asking?
Yeah, definitely.
They are inexpensive.
Ask him, get him out.
I've got a job next week.
It's all about pennies in the pocket. Have we got one or two more last questions? We're 3 minutes from stumps, young man. Make it a question.
To Paul was, sorry, I know it's the networks.
The network is the boring product, the BMW is the sexy product.
You're the foundation, that's what we need you. Storage I'm talking about. Is there, in South Australia with a lot of solar, many times during the day when it's not being used, it produces more, it goes nowhere. Storage, do you think? I mean, for example, there's X amount being used, but all of the solar and the wind, etc., is producing more than is being used. And that happens every now and then, quite often. Why are you looking? You don't think that happens?
No, it's not the case. But if if at a domestic level, let's keep it simple, at a domestic level, you've got solar panels on the roof and you're producing more solar power than what you're using in that household, that power will flow back out onto the poles and wires. It'll flow next door where they use it. If everybody has got, and this actually happens sometimes in South Australia, everybody's got too much solar, and so it's all sort of going right back up to the transmission level network.
Yeah, including those that are, there's acres and acres of,
Yeah. And ultimately it can even flow back to from South Australia back to Victoria.
All right, so it does always go somewhere.
Yes. So our eastern electricity network extends from Cairns right down the eastern seaboard and across, I don't know how far, Ceduna or something in South Australia, and Tassie's linked into that as well. So it always goes somewhere.
My question is really is storage. Do you think that's the, you're talking about all these possible problems, do you think storage...
Storage is great, yes.
I mean, from a, not from our point of view, from your point of view, from the network, to store, you're talking about where these peaks are?
Yes.
And if they're stored,
absolutely.
Is there anything happening?
I mean, this is what Rob's business is based on. People deciding...
Have you got any storage in the network? Down to Tassie, but not in South Australia.
Okay. I'll answer this question in about in 10 seconds. The economics don't normally stack up for networks to install mega batteries. There is one being installed in South Australia and it's got a lot of press, but the economics normally don't stack up. However, Rob's view is that the economics are great from a household perspective, and that's what his business is based on. Do you want to add anything, Rob?
What size battery do you want at home for?
$1 a day. Free. Last question of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, actually, it's sort of the same question, just sort of a deeper question about that is that from a network architecture point of view, would you prefer the batteries to be in people's homes or further up the hierarchy of power transmission? And if the batteries, the storage that is sit inside the distribution part of the network, then by definition your network is now both consuming energy and generating it. So, right, because you can take energy off the network, which you're not normally allowed to do, and put energy back into the network, which you're not allowed to do, under the very rules that you were describing at the very beginning. So is the legislation out of touch with the reality of what we need to solve these big energy storage problems?
The answer to the final part of your question is yes, the legislation needs to catch up. There's no doubt about that. To answer some of your earlier questions about is it better for the network to install a big battery or to have the distributed batteries, from a network perspective, we need to know what the problem is that we're trying to solve before you can look at the different options. Certainly down on Bruny Island, the project that Rob talked about, that TasNetworks is intimately involved in that particular case, it was far more economic to have individual households install batteries, and that's a lot of the reason why the project got up. We actually looked at installing a single large battery on Bruny Island, and the economics didn't stack up because in that particular case, it's only on the long weekends when all the shack owners go down there that there's a problem for 2 hours a day on those, say, 5 occasions a year. If there are other situations where a large transformer is constantly overloaded, then there might be a case for a large battery. But in summary, it varies on a case-by-case basis.
So a big battery on Bruny shaped as a penguin. Thank the three speakers, please, ladies and gentlemen. There's no formal dinner tonight, but there is tomorrow. And I just wanted to talk for a second about what an AEVA's waterfront collaboration dinner will be right here tomorrow night. Chocolate and local produce infused with an alternative drop dinner. Southern Wild Distillery gin cured for tuna ocean trout with cacao nibble wash crisp. I don't know what that is, but it sure as egg sounds good. To start a slow-cooked pork belly with cocoa butter, lime and fennel. The mains are the confit duck leg or the wallaby crusted in cacao, and the chocolate, of course, for dessert. It's only $88. Everybody's talking about value and cost. It's an investment in your future. See you tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen, 8:30 bright and early. Thank you. Thank you.